welcome to Speak Up on Wednesday. Now here tonight we have an incredible guest, Miss Priya Kumar, India's best motivational speaker. She's 15 times best-selling author. She's a biographical specialist. She's already worked for more than 2,000 companies in 47 countries. The only female in India that has done so. She's won 42 international book awards. We started our interview about 4 or 5 weeks ago, where we really got to know, where this beautiful woman is coming from, her roots that give her fruits, why she's so effective and magnificent in who she is. Priya Kumar, this is number 2. Welcome to Speak Up.
Oh, thank you. You're just so very kind. Thank you very much for the lovely introduction. When you introduce me like that, it puts a lot of pressure, because whatever you're speaking about is all that I have done in the past. And for me to continue to earn my position, I have to continue to do more. So you put a lot of pressure on me, but thank you.
A bit of pressure. What is it? A bit of pressure is good. Too much pressure, no good. So tonight is going to be great, because what we're going to do is that we're talking about the three principles of success. And in a minute we'll get started. I'll ask Priya what they are, and then we'll go through them one by one. So have your pen, note paper ready, or your phones, because I'm sure there's going to be some, no pressure, there'll be some nuggets of wisdom that will be dropped. And the whole part of this is about how do we inspire each other? How do we create this pool of motivation and inspiration for us all to get us through those tough times as the world is now, but we feel like we're emerging from. And Priya has an amazing company as well called Genius Inside that I'm sure we're gonna get to cover afterwards as well, which is really leading the forefront in how to motivate millions. So look, let's get started. So we're talking about the three of the principles of success. So Priya, let's get started. What would be the principle number 1 that you'd like to discuss tonight?
See, I'll tell you, Robert, again, thank you for everything that you have said. I believe there are many principles to success, okay? So, and one has to pick what is relevant for them. Let's say, for example, we have a ladder, okay? And I'm already on rung number 5, okay? Which means that I need just 5 more. I don't need 10, because the ladder ends at 10, for example. So whenever we're studying keys to success or principles to success, I also have to find what is relevant for me, what is useful in my journey. But having said that, there are a few things, I disappeared.
Yes, we have you back live from India. Yes. We get your screenshot. We want your face, so we have your face now. So please feel free to continue.
Yes. So, but there are 3 principles of success, which I think bracket everything else. Like how you have an opening bracket and you have a closing bracket. So similarly, I would put it into 3. So first, according to me, which is a great place to start, is purpose. Okay, that before you even decide what to do, how much you want, when you want it, the goals come later, the aspirations, the desires come later, but first is the purpose. So, and all of these things you heard like 100 times before. There are enough programs on it. What I really want to do is I want to give some examples here so that the point and the context becomes clear. Okay, so for instance, what I mean by purpose is I'm writing this biography of this gentleman who owns a footwear company. Now, it's not fancy footwear, okay? So it's chappals, it's slippers, the rubber slippers, okay? And he started an era where that was a poor man's attire. The rubber slippers. He would make it for the farmers and so on. And very well educated. And, when you have the backing of education, your eyes are on the big big stuff, the glamour stuff. And he really wanted to become a doctor. So he said, okay, what is my purpose? It's a very, very interesting story. And he says, my purpose is to help people. That's why he wants to get into medicine. Okay. And his father, who was making these slippers, came to him and said, Ramesh, I need your help. I am old and the business needs help. I would like you to basically forget your, aspiration of becoming a doctor and come and make slippers with me. Now, that's a huge shift. All right. And the guy says, look, my purpose is to help people. And right now, my father needs help. Okay, so how can you say that my purpose is to help people when you did not help the one person who is closest to you and asked for it? So he said, okay, Dad. And he, managed his studies and came to help him to make slippers. And then he said, I want to help these farmers be comfortable. I want them to have a great, walk a day and so on. And that got him on the journey to what stands as $1 billion organization today. So when you ask him, how did you get started? He said, my purpose was to help people. And then you say, okay, how does making slippers help people? And he says, first I helped my father. Then I help the customer. Then I help blah, blah, blah. And that's where he is. So defining a purpose, I think, is very, very crucial, which will lead you in the direction. There are multiple opportunities. Being a doctor is one of them. A part of you has so many expressions. And you will collapse the one which will test you the most. So, and when you pass with that, you pass on with your career.
And you know what? I mean, that's a beautiful story, and there's many things I take from that. But I'd love, if you can, one more example, which might be a little bit more recent for you, where this purpose, this number one principle of success has come out for you.
Well, see, for me, my purpose is to help people get better. Okay, like, for example, my journey, I did not become a motivational speaker because I wanted to change the world. I became a motivational speaker because I wanted to change my world. That was the thing. So when I sorted out my world, I was compelled to help others. Hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Because really, I came from humble backgrounds. If you look at it, if we all track back, there were no special skills that were identified of me. All I wanted to do was get better at what I do, and I did. So, and that is exactly what I do today. So when somebody asks me what drives you, it's that purpose. And the purpose comes first, and then the calculation of the business. So I have never worked backward. There are a lot of people, when they set up the business, it's all about working backwards on numbers and targets. And then you wonder, why are they not happy? Because then it could be anything, not just this. Then I could be doing retail. I could be selling something. I could be doing an online business or whatever. Why this? Because my purpose is to help people, and it must show up in every call that I make, in every email that I send, in every person that I speak to. So let's say the purpose is always non-transactional. So let's say if I am not doing a business, does it mean I won't help you? Of course I will, with the same passion. To give you an example, I was doing a workshop for somebody. Okay. And they said, oh, you're very expensive. We can't afford you, but you could speak a little. I said, I'm not going to speak a little. I'm going to speak the same. Just because you're not paying me doesn't lower my standards, because it's not about what you will give me. It's about the purpose that I stand here to do. And I am the happiest person ever, whether it benefits somebody or not. I go back, knowing that I did what I was meant to do.
And what also comes in from both of those stories, as you mentioned, is it becomes your guiding light, your North Star. So then it's easy for you to make decisions, because quite often we get to the place where there's so many opportunities on the table,
Right.
like the dinner table of life. There's so much food to choose from, but I can't eat all of it at the same time. So it's like, well, how
Right.
do I determine what to eat first? And then by using your purpose, by using your purpose as that navigational system, it gives you that I need to do this one first. And it keeps you on point. It keeps you focused, and then when you're focused, then you get those rewards coming right back to you. So my question would then be, on purpose, there may be some people which are struggling to find their purpose, or they don't have one, or they don't feel like they have one. So what would you say to those people that maybe haven't got a purpose or are looking for their purpose but having trouble finding it? How would you advise them?
So my question always points to what is it that you love to do? What comes naturally to you? Okay, what? So, and if somebody says, I don't know, then I think there's a lot of trouble on the cards. Then that person has been surrounded by too much chatter or too much pressure to be someone that they are not. Okay, so if you can't think of something that you love to do, something that gives you happiness, something that comes naturally to you, it might be a good idea. See, we're already in March. Okay, so the year is already rolling into 3 months. It may be a good idea to take a long weekend and give it some thought. And here is a trick I had told somebody in one of my courses. So she's like, I don't know what I want to do. And, a senior person in her, I would say early 40s. So I said, look, take a week off. Okay, and don't do anything that you generally do, which is work, which is cook, which is, look after the house. And now look for what is it that you're doing? Okay. And she says that, I started to watch documentaries. And I said, okay, what kind? Okay. And she was like, documentaries around medicine. And I said, why medicine? Because you have a choice online to watch anything. Why didn't you just watch, Sunset Boulevard or, what do you call the Housewives of Beverly Hills? She's like, no. I am interested in how to improve one's health. How can I be in better shape? How can I have more energy? And I said, go on, build on. And you know what? She realized that is her calling, to straighten out the body, which then straightens out the mind. So it was the curiosity. Where is your curiosity leading you? Be mindful of that. And does it make you happy? You know what? I mean, we naturally move toward things. Like they say, if you keep a plant in this dark box with one hole, did you know the plant will bend toward the sunlight through the hole and come out of it? It's not going to wither away and die. So what is that light that is attracting you? What is that thing that you are bent toward? Sometimes we don't allow that because of whatever pressure. But if you can find that, and the key things is, again, happiness, natural, love. And if you can answer that, you will find a common pattern. You'll get there.
Love that. So that's number one.
So tell me, what is your purpose? What is your purpose?
Now you put me on the spot.
Like, why are you doing this? Why? Because I don't see. And that's something that we have in common. A lot of times people feel, purpose is just too spiritual. If I start following my purpose, I don't think I can build a career out of it, or I don't think I will get money. And that's why they without any thought, go toward a job. And if you ask generally a person working in the corporate world, what is your purpose? They do not know, but they know they get money. All right. So, I mean, what you and I do to a large extent in so many ways doesn't directly pay us. Right. So what is your purpose?
Great. So you know what? I'm going to take the other way around, right? So I remember, growing up in children's homes and for 18 years in London, and I remember where I was like, I was just trying to survive. And I remember that, I didn't really have a purpose, right? So here's the thing. So later on in later years, I got it. But I just want to go back quickly. So it's called the 3 pillars of purpose. And number 1 is having no purpose. Number 2 is being pushed by a purpose, like this need. I grew up as an orphan. I have a need to help other orphans, right? And the third is like it comes in from above. It's like I'm doing something that I love. Something drops in, and I feel compelled to do it, and I know I can, and I know I must. So the first pillar is having no purpose. So what happened was that I was in a zone where I'd finished a children's home. I was out. And I was just so happy to be alive because I thought that was the biggest gift that I could have at that period of time. So I spent the next 5-10 years living from no purpose, meaning I treated every moment as if it was my last, and I became like a yes man. If people would ask me, do you want to do this? I would say yes. Do you want to do that? I would say yes. So I ended up, working with all these supermodels and working with Madonna and having these incredible experiences, right? But that's where I believed that I didn't have a purpose. But now I realize the purpose was enjoying every moment. Right, and that's the trick. So there was actually a purpose there, and then coming through, this feeling of being pushed. I want to help other children, who are in a similar situation to me because I know what it felt like. I want to bring people together with about unity because I know what it feels like to be in a state of disunity. I know what racism is. I know what physical violence is, when people misread and misunderstand each other. So all of these experiences kind of led me into realizing from the age of around 12 that the purpose that was underpinning all of them that I didn't really get to understand till my 20s and 30s was that it was always about unity. It was realizing that I'm a bridge. I'm a bridge between different cultures, ideologies, races, ethnicities, ways of seeing the world, and that my life prepared me perfectly to be that person, to fulfill that purpose, to have that role. And then later on, I found that in my family tree, Jamaican Maroon, are people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey. They're all Jamaican Maroons. So then later on, I began to understand why these things that had happened to me, in a way, why I felt like they were directing me on a pathway to my purpose. And that purpose is about bringing unity and understanding to as many people as I possibly can, and that practice of empathy, and to give people the tools that can set themselves free, that they can see, hey, I have an opportunity in my life to make the best out of it. I have an opportunity in my life to see that all of these different people that I believe are different are actually at the fundamental essence, they're no different to me. And we all go through the same things. Hanging around celebrities such as yourself for many years of my life, where I put this idea or ideal on them that, hey, these guys are like amazing. They have an amazing life. And I believed hook, line, and sinker what I saw on social media. And then when I met them and hung out with them privately without people around, and I got to see the same things that were worrying or plaguing or bothering me, identity, am I being liked? Do I care about being liked? All of these things we all actually have in common. So again, all of these experiences in my life led me to this realization of what my purpose is, and how or even why those things happened along the way to kind of sharpen the axe, if you like. Yeah, so that would be my answer, Priya.
That's so cool. And tell me, while you do this, while you're driven by this, how do you feel?
Yeah.
How do you feel about yourself and, your life?
Yeah. So when I'm in that zone, right, then I feel like I'm doing exactly what I was supposed to do in those moments. And, I'm not in those moments all the time. I still have doubts sometimes. I still have to sometimes give myself a kick up the butt saying, hey, mate, come on, this is not who you are. Like, change your state, breathe, and get going, right? But when I'm in that zone, like I feel that my entire being is doing exactly what it was supposed to do. And in that state, I don't think about sleep. I don't think about how I'm being perceived. I don't think about what people think of me. I don't think about anything else but what I'm doing. I'm like in that zone, and it's all exactly as it's supposed to be. So that's exactly how I feel when I'm in that zone, Priya. Yeah.
Oh, how cool. It's I was traveling one time by the Dubai airport. Okay. And this was the time, I mean, of course, when we could fly. So, and I used to take flights like insane. I have redeemed over 10 million, no, 50 million, about 10 million air miles. So that's the amount I flew. And sometimes it would be, I land into a country, I check into the hotel, finish my talk and go back. I sometimes never even stayed in a hotel. So there was one time I was just so tired that I could just sleep on that, what's that walkway, that escalator? No,
Yeah.
no. Where you stand and it moves. What is that? Yeah.
Oh, like a travelator. The one in the airport where
Yeah.
you're moving. Yeah, it's like it's like a travelator.
Yeah, exactly. I was so tired. I could just lie down and sleep on that, So it was like that, not even walk. So while I was walking, I saw these sleep pods, where it's a little capsule and you lie down and you shut it like that. And I said, I just need to sleep. Okay. I had about a 2-hour layover. I paid the money. I forgot how much that was, and I slept. And then I was so fresh. And I said, you know what? The value of that sleep for me was setting my day. And I wanted to meet the guy who thought of this. Because, when you say, okay, I'll build these sleep pods, hey, really, people don't want to sleep. But somebody like me, okay, I hunted the guy down. I'm going to look up his name and I'll send it to you. So I did a little interview with him. I said, what's your purpose? He said, I love to sleep. Okay, now imagine that. If you go and you're looking for a career option and the person says, what do you love to do? I love to sleep. Enough.
Wow. Wow. So now look, I think we've temporarily lost you, Priya, lost you to the waves of India. Maybe you're coming back.
Okay.
You're back. Great.
Yeah.
So look, so we got that purpose, that his purpose was to sleep, and I love that. But what is the purpose number 2 for you in the success principles?
Well, you mean the second key, or
Yes.
within?
Yes.
So the second for me is, get to the core expertise of your job, to the point that you should be seen as an authority. Otherwise, you're dishonoring the purpose by just dabbling, on it. Because then you truly cannot help. Let's say, for example, my purpose is to heal people, and I want to be a doctor. I better be a good doctor. I can't cut a person up and say, okay, now what shall I do next? I have to have a core expertise down to cut, to repair, to sew, and to say, done. Now you go heal yourself. And that is a principle that must be followed in every career choice or purpose expression that I take. And it cannot be done after I take the money from you. I have to reach there to take the money from you. So when I started my career as a motivational speaker, I never thought I'd become a motivational speaker. It just happened, it just happened as a natural progression from self-improvement. Before I became a motivational speaker professionally, I had read over 200 people, and I became a motivational speaker when I was 22 professionally. So technically I was talking to 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, and they would say, what book shall I read? Or I'm reading, for example, the guy would say, I'm reading this book. I could tell him what's in the book. I could tell him what he would learn. And that way I earned their respect that, she knows more than I do. She has read more than I do. She has gone deeper in the field than I can ever care to or have the time for. I did 200 talks, just out of passion and just out of helping. Okay, you want help? I can teach you this. Why don't 10 of you get together? I'd go to schools, I'd go to colleges. So I had that bandwidth, that breadth, that length, and that depth before I went somewhere. And when people looked at me, even though I was 22 years old, I was, a girl, in India. So at least people looked at me with respect. Respect for what? Courage that she stood up to talk? No, it doesn't really last much. At one time, they may appreciate, oh, very nice. Young girl has a lot of courage to stand on the stage and talk. But where did that respect genuinely come from? I learned something. She knows it. She's got it. She's done her homework. She has that depth. And that is what you must come forward with. Otherwise, just purpose alone cannot drive you far.
Got it. The question which comes up is, so you're moving in towards the moving pictures, into film, into miniseries, right? And it's a place that that you didn't, have expertise. And as you're saying now, it's like, well, you've chosen your purpose, you found your purpose, it's found you. Now, next thing is you've got to sharpen that axe. You've got to get really good at and know what it is you do so well that you dominate, that you become known for that. So now, for a person,
I wanted to make. Yes.
Yeah. So for a person who's just learning that now, you're coming into this new arena. So you're coming with this learner's mind, this beginner's mind. So how are you making your way towards mastering that?
So I'll give you this example you said about making film. So I wrote books and people said, oh, you should make it into a film. Okay, so I said, all right, let me work with somebody. Okay, so there is this very famous director, one of the most popular directors in India. His name is Raju Hirani. So I met him at a function and I told him, I want to work with you. I want to learn. I want to be your assistant. Okay, so he says, what's your qualification? I mean, how are you going to come onto my set and add value? So I said, no, I want to learn. And it's okay if you don't pay me because, my purpose is to make a film. My purpose is to make great films. So he said, I wouldn't hire you to teach you. I'm going to hire you so you can add value to my project. That there are people investing the money. This is not a school. It is a place where we create great products. So why don't you go back, learn, come back and tell me what you bring to the table that I should hire you. That hit me that, yes, I have a purpose. And a lot of people, a lot of kids, a lot of young minds, they say, okay, let me go do a job. I will learn so much. Hey, then what did you do for 21 years in school and college? If you still want to go and learn to build a career, might as well do something vocational and build the skill. So I made a very hard decision. This is, I think, when I was 44 years old or 43 years old, I went back to school. I went back to New York Film Academy to study. And because I knew that if I have to come back into the game, if I even have to play the game, I have to be an expert. And you know what? My class used to start at 9 o'clock and end at 6 o'clock. I used to be there at 8 o'clock because I wanted to, that is the correct ground to learn. And I mastered it. I was the first volunteer for everything. You wanted boom sound, I was a volunteer. Actor missing, I volunteered. Art director missing, I volunteered. Whatever it was. So if you see the films that we made at New York Film Academy, my name is in every single film as something or the other, including the films that I made. So today, when I come back and I sit with a group or I sit with investors or I sit with producers, they know I am an expert too. They know that I can contribute and I can help. And that secures my purpose. That secures the life and the fulfillment of my purpose. So a lot of times people miss this step. They think they will be guided, they will learn on the way. No, be conscious of the learning. You build the knowledge, the skills needed to move in that direction.
Wow. You know, what's becoming so clear and evident is that it is very purposeful for you. It is very like, you know, you're driven by purpose. And then when you come here, you make up your mind, you're going the whole way through. And I remember if you didn't watch the last interview, everybody, we'll leave it here so you can see, but you must watch the last interview because then you get Priya, you know, as where she came from, what created this attitude that she has, right? But moving forward to what you just said, you know, the fact that you more than 10,000 hours, but the fact that you volunteer for everything, you overstudied. There you go.
Yeah.
You overstudied in order to master it. You know, and I think that is something that people can take away with right now from this interview. You know, like purpose. Then make sure that you overachieve in terms of your learning. And that's a great story. It reminds you of this guy, Earl Nightingale. So the last couple of weeks, I've been listening to this Earl Nightingale, who was like, you know, the father of self-development in a way. And it was about, he put it as exactly that, you know, like value, value, value. So at the end of the day, the marketplace will reward you for the value that you bring. And it makes no mistakes. It will reward you to the penny exactly what you will bring to the level that you've mastered it, for the ability for other people to do what you do as well as you do. And if you needed to be replaced, how easily you could be replaced. And yes. these three measures, they give you your value. The market tells you you're worth this much. Or you're worth that much, and don't complain. and if you want to be worth more, then you need to put in the work. You need to put in the work.
Absolutely. And you know, when I was doing the course, I was the oldest in the batch. There were like 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds and 25-year-olds. And I was the first bencher, you know, studying everything because I knew that I needed that. Yeah, you're right that the skill set is very, very important because you see, let's say I have a purpose to make a great film and help people. And I tell you, Robert, can you sponsor it? That's like $2 million. Okay. And you ask me, okay, Priya, I love it that you have a purpose, but how are you going to do this? You know, and I say, oh, don't worry. I'll learn. I'll find out how. You're not going to give me the money.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, I don't get, he doesn't want to help people. He doesn't want to help people. What? Committed to helping people. It's not like that. You're going to bet on my skill. You're going to appreciate my purpose, but the bet will come on my skill, and that is a key to success.
Love that. And you know, a question came up. What was it? It will come back. This question came up, but then a lot. It will come back. So look, that's number 2. So then number 3, what would that be? So we've been through, you know, these success principles. We've got purpose. Right. We've got sharpening your act, become a master, know what it is you bring to the market and master it, right? So then what would number 3 be?
Yeah, so I'll just add a little more pepper to number 2 is that while you have a great skill set, keep improving every single day. It's not enough. I mean, there is so much. The world is changing so fast that for you to be relevant, to give you an example, let's say I want you to invest in my company, or I want you to give me a job. And I come to you today and say, look, Robert, I have this skill set. I have a great purpose. And you say, okay, let's meet after, let's say 6 months. Okay. I don't have the money or I don't have a job for you. And I come back after 6 months. Have I come on the same credentials? Have I come on the same platform or skill set? Or I come to you now and say, you know, we met then and now I have this much more. Even if you don't have the money, you will borrow it to bank on me. Even if you don't have the vacancy, you're going to look back at your team and say, hey, who's not grown in 6 months? You're out. I want her. So that just being the authority is not enough. Staying the authority through continuous improvement is. Then the third one, according to me, and it's a very big key, is your skill with people. Because ultimately, you're not going to make it alone. When I come to Bali, the main driver is the pilot. You have to have connection and team up with people. And I tell you, I take it so seriously, so seriously. I enter the flight and I always, always, always send a note for the pilot. Have a safe flight. Let me know if anything is needed, because the guy has to get me, to the destination. He better be fine, even if it's a joke or a smile. I don't know if he's at a fight with someone, and he's going to race through the skies and challenge the cloud, the what, I don't know, right? So team up with people, network with people, surround yourself with the right people. You're only as powerful as your team. Right now, there are people who've set this up for you. There are people who've set this up for me, and they better be aligned to the purpose, or they better be on a parallel purpose. They better be committed as I am. Otherwise, there are enough glitches which can steal my peace of mind. I will still do it, but my peace of mind is gone. My satisfaction is gone. My happiness is gone. Okay, so every single person who's made it to the top has made it on the effort of it, on collaborative effort.
Yeah.
And a good team is enough to raise even an average leader, but a bad team will bring down a good leader also. So knowing that difference, who you hang out with, who you surround yourself with, I think is a very big key to success. Very, very big.
Yeah. And some people might be watching this now. I'm saying, okay, so I understand that getting along with people, right? But how do I do it? Because it's not part of my natural skill set. If I asked you, is it something that you can learn? And how would someone who maybe doesn't feel that they have those skills, what would be a great way for them to start this process of learning to become a great people person?
So I'll tell you, see, there's a difference in being a great people person, and then there's a difference in bringing them into your circle.
Yeah.
So, for example, you could have a large circle of acquaintances, which is great. You're great, you go to a party, you talk to everyone, but you don't have to bring them close. This circle, this radius is only by invitation. And the invitation, which I learned long ago so my best friend when I was in my 20s, early 20s, 2021, was a 73-year-old man. Okay, he was my grandfather's agent, such a cool cat from the pharma industry, retired fellow. And how I became friends with him was, I was standing at the bus stop waiting for the bus, and I see this old man walking, like that. Probably he was singing something. Old fellow, bald, lanky and tall and walking. And then suddenly I see there's a light pole ahead and he's headed for it. Then I said, he looks alert. He looks fine. He's not going to bang into it. And he did. He went, banged into it, and I laughed on his face. Then he came to me and he said, you know what? I was trying to memorize this song because I always wanted to be a music composer. You can see I'm an old man. I was trying to memorize it so I don't forget it by the time I reach home, and I didn't see the lamppost. So then I met him again and I said, look, why are you memorizing it? Why don't you take that little recorder and record it? He said, I don't have a recorder. I said, I have one. I'll give it to you. Okay. And that's how we became best friends. And he taught me one thing. And I always said, how does a 20-year-old become best friends with a 70-year-old? Okay. And he said, look, friendship and connection doesn't know age, but there is a criteria. When you speak to somebody, do their eyes spark up? Do they contribute to your level of the conversation? Are you compelled to help? Are they compelled to contribute? When that exchange happens, that's the one. That's the one. Otherwise, you talk to people and you start convincing them. And really, you see this, there's no reaction. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. No. That's a great acquaintance. Help the person move on. But the inner circle is where the eyes spark up, and they say, oh, yes. And now it's like, this is how your conversation is moving. You start here and you end up here. That is the company you want to keep in business, you discuss the business. So it's literally like when you're talking, you're looking for a business partner. Ask them, what's your vision? See the size of their canvas. You don't start talking. Look where your conversation is going here. Or is it just cut to cut to cut to cut here? And you have to convince, and this is how the person is. You want this. So, and that happens with practice. And you're not going to get everybody. 100 people you communicate with, there'll be none, maybe. 500 you communicate with, perhaps there'll be one. And you just need one. Wow. You just need one.
Yeah. So it really...
you had one person, right? Yeah. So that's the one you're looking for. Yeah. So don't look for more. It's enough. One or two, enough.
Wow. So then, what comes up is this. So, you have this wonderful light about you. And again, if you watch the last episode, you will get to understand Priya at such a fundamental level that the person that you see before you now, you'll know exactly why she is the way that she is. So I really do suggest and encourage that you watch our last interview as well. So the question is this, is there, outside of what you've said, is there a book that you've read that gave you this understanding, this knowledge to create, not only to make, but to bring people into your circle? As you mentioned, not just to be a good people person, but how to bring people into your circle. I'm looking for something tangible, something practical, that someone who's watching this now has got an action step that they can go and say, yes, I'm going to read that book, or yes, I'm going to do that course, or yes, I'm going to do this thing tonight, which is going to help me to master this particular principle.
See, I was always a reader, and there is this book that I read when I was very young. It's called Illusions by Richard Bach. It's a very good book. Then also I was very influenced by the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. There's another book that's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Okay, and while these are great books, I had great examples around me, great life examples. My grandfather, so he never came from the idea, mind your own business. He would just go out and help and move on. There would be people who would come and tell him that, what, I'm so grateful to you. You had helped me 6 months ago. And he's like, oh, I don't remember. He would help people and move on. And his close circle, my grandfather had 2 people in his close circle. One was the idol of Lord Krishna, which is the God that he believed in. And second was a book. He didn't need anybody else. And he said, look, because he was old, my grandfather, when he passed away, he was old. And his best friends were all dead at that time. And this was his circle. And he says, this is what I follow. And he was led by curiosity. Help, move on, help, move on, help, move on. And I learned that. He never asked for permission. So let's say if you were walking and your bag, that plastic bag tore and items fell down, he would go and pick it up for you and give it to you. It's like that. No permission needed into people. So that's something that I learned. And he would tell me sometimes, hey, go help that person, go talk to that person, go find out what's going on. So I was trained hands-on to go out and communicate with people. And that's what it takes. And you know what? No one ate me up. No one abused me. No one hit me. No one told me to get lost. People love it when you show up. People love it when you even just say, do you need some help? Can I help you cross the road? That's it. We don't do it. So books are great as putting the right content, but taking action, I think, is critical. Otherwise, you're a page of a book. That's not life.
Yeah. Those action steps, from our first interview, one thing that I find remarkable is exactly that you always managed to surround yourself and be interested with some fascinating people. But more than that, and that was they were always older than you. So I think another key here of this principle of becoming this people magnet or being able to bring people into your circle is, definitely seek out, people which are older than you, which have achieved, which have lived. Because quite often we get this. I mean, even me, growing up, I saw my dad and saw these people around when I grew up later, and I thought, what do they know about life? They're old, they're walking slowly. What could they possibly be able to teach me? And the answer, which I didn't realize for many years, is that the word is everything. They can teach you everything because they've lived more than you realize, and they're not necessarily embodying that in perhaps the frail exterior that they have or they occupy now. This person has had an incredible life. They've done some incredible things, and they've been moved in incredible ways, and they just want to be asked, just sit down, take the time, spend the time, ask a question, and listen.
Exactly. Yeah. Listen and put it to work. So, I was in a flight one time, and so this gentleman was sitting next to me who was the CEO of a big broadcast company. Okay, he became a very, very good friend later on. So he asked me, okay, so what are you doing? And I told about my social media and so on. 2-hour flight. The man gave me a lecture on how to become an influencer. Okay, and I was taking notes, physical notes. Yeah. And, at one point he looked at me like, very amused. That you're right. I am the CEO of a company. I've seen this note-taking business too much. Nothing really happened. So I happened to meet him 4 months later. Okay. So, and he was talking to somebody. It was a public gathering. I went to him and I said, you know what? We had met on the flight 4 months earlier, and look what I did with Facebook. I showed him, look what I did with Twitter. The man was appalled. He said, seriously? I need to call you to speak to my team because I keep talking to them and they don't do it. And I just spent 2 hours on a flight with you, and you're telling me that my influence in those 2 hours was a game changer for your career? What about the 400 people who have come to me for a career path? They're not taking action. They listen because they have to listen. But listening still does not guarantee somebody will translate it and actually do the job. Because a lot happens between listening and doing. And that is where a person's free will comes in. Am I going to do what I agreed to? And that, I think, that is the final, I would say, when you hit that stick option sold, that's the sole point whether you will get to success or not.
Wonderful. So look, just to quickly summarize for those of you who may be tuning in or just tuning in on maybe Instagram Live. So we're talking today to Priya Kumar, the best motivational speaker in India. And it's our second interview. And today we're talking about the 3 principles of success. Now, taking us back, number 1 was having a purpose. Right? That was number 1. Number 2 was mastering that purpose to the point where you become the leader in that field. It becomes what you're known for. And then number 3 is about the people that you surround yourself with, the people that you're able to invite and to enroll into your circle. And what sounds like, a bonus one here is being able to take action. So that's the bonus for this session, take action. Now, is there anything else that you'd like to add, Priya?
See, I feel all of these are very simple things, okay? It's nothing new, and there never will be. These are principles of life. And while we say, okay, it's so simple, then why are people not doing it? Why are they walking around saying, I don't know what to do? 3 hours, 3 days, you cannot take out for yourself. Look at the price that you're paying for the rest of your life. So a lot of times, I think people tune in to get some complicated stuff. It's like going to the medical doctor and say, oh, I'm suffering. And he says, just sleep 8 hours, drink 8 glasses of water and walk for 30 minutes. They're not happy with that because he is telling them to straighten up their act and take action. But actually, that's the correct answer. It's so basic. But what they're looking for is, give me these pills, give me this complicated stuff so I don't have to do anything, and it starts to work magic. And you know what? It does solve the problem for that moment. Yes, you get rid of the headache. You might just lose weight because he's given you some influences. But look at the damage that will cause in the longer run, which after a point will not be reversible. So even when you have to straighten up your life or to achieve success, the principles are so simple. They're so simple that everybody can be it and they should be it. Look, we call ourselves the super species on the planet. There's no other species smarter than us. They don't have the ability to create possibilities like us. And yet you see the genius level population is 1%. Come on. Then how can we qualify as a super species? Like if you look at dogs, they are living to their full potential. The deer, the reindeer, the lions, even the cockroaches are living to their full potential. There's nothing more that they can do. They're doing everything that they can in their endowment. But are we doing everything we can in our endowment? There is 99% gap left. So something is terribly wrong. We are violating the basic simple steps. It's not complicated. And I think if you look at self-help, okay, you take all the self-help books apart, take all motivational speakers apart, it'll just fit into maybe 10 boxes, said in different ways, in with different stories, with different twists, but it's just 5-10 principles. That's it.
You know, as we begin, because we're going to do this again, as we begin to draw this one to a close, there's 2 questions that I'd like to ask you. So the first question is, you know, out of all of these 3 steps, these 3 principles, not steps, you know, what would you say, what comes up for you? Which one did you find the most challenging and why? And how did you overcome it?
I think the last one, skill with people. Because, you know, for a lot of people, that is suicide. Okay, like I'll tell you, I have a lot of celebrity friends. So I have, I have friends who are singers and one of them is super famous. So sometimes when I go visit him, there are people just sitting around, you know, who are basically stealing his energy. They got nothing to do. You know, they're probably misleading him, giving him gossip, telling him, oh, I met that journalist. He spoke this about you. And did you hear about that? And disturbing his mind. And it's not even real. And I tell him, look, that guy is not your friend or this fellow is whatever, but he can't see it because they're pretending in front of him. They literally lie on the floor and kiss his feet. He can't see the reality and therefore he makes mistakes. He unfriends people, not on social media, but technically he unfriends people who perhaps are wishing well for him and there are games going on. It's very, very difficult to have the right circle. And therefore, you know, keep a line and say, yes, I interact with everybody. I'm good with everybody. But I want to see that spark, that this conversation, is it taking me lower? Did you bring me bad news? Why? If you're a friend of mine, why didn't you go fight with him and say, don't talk like that? Why are you coming and telling me? Because perhaps when he was telling you about me, you agreed with it. How did you come here listening to that? Why did you not handle it there and tell me, don't speak to that person? I fought with him for you. That is correct. So a lot of times judge this. You're around people. Is it going lower or is it going higher or is it going, you know, this way? And that is the trick about people because people influence us. It's energy. This conversation, I tell you, I feel so, my energy level from the first hello to now is here. This is the right connection. I am not wishing for this to get over and looking at the time and saying, okay, you know, how much time left and so on. You know, so that is the criteria. Very difficult, very, very difficult, but be mindful. So when you go and meet people, check, I'm at 5. What level am I going to walk out on? Okay, even if it is 4.9, not accepted.
Love it. Love it. And the final question. So how is Genius Inside helping to bring all of this information, this way of being, these principles of success, you know, like firstly, if people don't know about it, explain what it is and explain how it's helping you to arm people with all of the skills and tools and actions that they need to take to have success.
So I tell you, genius inside comes from a core belief. It's a belief, I know it to be true. And everything that I see around which contradicts it is a lie. Okay, I believe we are geniuses, that each one of us, I don't know what we will do, but we can live up to our full potential. Like my two doggies are living up to their full potential. I'm not. Okay, so Genius Inside is an online platform where you come in and I will surround you 360 degrees. You know how it's an army that, which surrounds you from all sides and you have no escape but to die. In this case, you have no escape but to grow to your true potential. Everything that you need customized to you. What are the areas that you can't see are your blind spots, which are disturbing you, which are coming in the way? Everything is set up to help you with my personal intervention, whether it is personality development, whether it is communication skills, whether it is setting goals, finding your purpose, overcoming your fears, building a personal brand, how to make decisions, how to be mindful, how to live out of a spiritual endowment, you name it, we got it. It's literally, you're surrounded. Grow up, show up, and unleash your potential. It's like that. So that is in short what I can go on about it. But in short, that is what my excitement or my purpose is, that you come into my circle. Just come in. It's like the mafia. You come in with your will, you go out after I'm done with you. After I am done, that my God, you have hit here, now go. And I go out with you like that. And it's super fun. So we started the first batch 6 months ago, and it ends at 6 months, but they're still on, they still come back, and I still show up and say, okay, now let's walk together. Wow. You're on the other side now. So wow. In short, that's...
Wow. So Priya, grow up, show up, and release your potential. That's what I get, grow up, show up, release your potential. It's been an absolute pleasure. And look, this is the series. So this is number 2. I know there's going to be number 3, and I know there's going to be more. So this is where, for this one, we'll leave it there. And I'm really, really looking forward, Priya, to see you next time. And for those of you watching, remember, please watch the video before this, the interview where you get to see where Priya comes from and where this amazing energy, vibe, nature, where it comes from, all right? It's very important that you see that. We'll make that one available. And we're here. This is SpeakuP Monday. My name is Robert Ian Bonnick, the tourism architect here in Bali, Indonesia. And I look forward to seeing you the next time. So Priya, my love to you. Just stay back after we finish this, and blessings to you. Love to all the fans which are watching. Love for everybody who's watching. Feel free to share this, the 3 principles of success, with Priya Kumar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you.